I grew up in West Germany as a kid. So I moved there in the 80s. My parents were teachers for military dependents. And everybody in the world, quote, knew that in West Germany, you had freedom and democracy and human rights and the rule of law. And in East Germany at the time, it's two different countries. None of those things existed. They were literally being held behind barbed wire and fences and landmines and guards in towers, right? And that's just how it was. That's just life. It is what it is, right? And as a kid, I didn't understand the history of World War II and the Soviet Union and the separation. I didn't know any of that. I just walked into this situation, and we live in this country, and the country next door. It used to be one country, I guess, and those people don't have any rights at all. They're basically in prison, and we have all the freedom, and it sucks for them.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? That's just the way the world is. And then I watched over the course of just a few years, not a shot was fired. The UN didn't intervene. The U.S. military didn't intervene. Nobody got bombed. There was no attack. People just shoulder to shoulder, everyday people, construction workers and teachers and bakers and pharmacists started protesting more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
And it finally got to the point where it was this surge of humanity that could not be ignored.
Yeah.
And people finally realized there's millions of us and very, very few of them. And it just wasn't sustainable. It wasn't a sustainable way.
When
to
you
live.
say them, the people who are keeping the wall up between East and West Germany.
The people in charge. So it was basically the Soviet bloc. It was also I could get into a whole wonky history lesson which nobody cares about, but it was excellent timing. Basically, the Soviet Union had cannibalized every resource. It was not a sustainable system of government.
Yeah.
Because everything broke. Because when you socialize every single thing, and there is no free market at all, no one takes responsibility for anything.
Yeah.
And so it all breaks. And so eventually you just keep using other people's money, other people's resources. And it got to the point where it was unsustainable. The people in charge at the time understood that. There's nothing we can do. We're at the end of the road with this.
Yeah.
It didn't work. So it was good timing, but it would not have happened if brave people, can you imagine being the first people who stood up, because the people before them had gotten shot.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see.
Are we talking about West Germans or East Germans?
East Germans, very much East Germans.
Oh, so the protesting was going on inside East Germany?
The protests had always gone on in the West, of course. I'm talking about the East Germans.
But they didn't care. They're just ignored you. You're over there on the other side of the wall, whatever.
And people in Poland where I've done human rights concerts as well. Just all of these things were happening, kind of these cascading dominoes at the time. But it was absolutely, it's all well and good for me to sit here and talk about human rights sitting in this comfortable studio in Florida, which is very much in favor of such things, especially these days, right?
Yeah.
But to do it in an environment where you can be disappeared, where your family can be punished, where your opportunities in life can be severely limited, that's a completely different reality. I think about the protesters in Iran, right? 40,000 people that they murdered just for speaking up, right?
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane. And I just decided at some point, I don't want to live on a planet like that. It doesn't make any sense to me in the world that you can get on a plane in one place and you have a certain amount of rights and freedoms, and then you fly a few hours, 8-10 hours, and you get off and you don't.
Right.
Just because of where you are. That's weird. Isn't that weird?
It is weird. Doesn't
make any sense. And I've seen it. I've seen it first. I had a front row seat. Enough people stood up and said, this is not okay. And then it changed. So that helped me understand that if you educate people young enough on a broad enough scale that human rights are real, that they matter. And by the way, here's what they are. Let's stand up for these. Let's all agree that this is important. You would change the world. That's the idea.
Yeah.
No.
So from what you saw actually being there in West Germany, I feel like the historic narrative is that Ronald Reagan did it, which I'm sure he had an impact.
Totally. Of course, there are so many different elements that go into this. I'm massively oversimplifying it.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, it was the everyday people actually having the courage to stand up, because it wasn't a militant overthrow. It wasn't us arming the rebels.
Yep.
Because that goes so well every time we do it.
I don't think we had tried it at that point yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so we had done everything we possibly could to destabilize the Soviet Union, et cetera, of course. There's all these geopolitics happening, but the reason it happened the way that it did, at the timetable that it did, and as quickly as it did, is because normal, average, everyday people stood up. for their human rights and shoulder to shoulder
Yeah.
and said, we are powerful and we will not be denied.
Yeah.
You know, and I just love that.
Yeah.
It's like my favorite story of the modern era.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, not a shot was fired, not a punch was thrown. And you can see it on their faces. If you look at the video of people, the moment they first come through, they started tearing down the wall and they literally step over and they're just like, am I going to get shot? Like
they're like expecting, they're just like, I'm
just
done.
the look of shock on people's faces. Like they can't believe it. You can tell they can't believe it's happening. Like it's like an out of body experience for them. It's really neat to see it.
Have you been back to Germany and traversed, that's kind of a weird question, but have you like traversed where the physical actual barrier used to be?
100%. And you can see it. So when I first,
I was just going to ask, is there like any type, do you like feel anything like when you like,
well, there are memorials certainly in Berlin. So the Berlin Wall is what I'm really describing. Right.
Yeah.
And the wall was around,
because there was Germany. Yeah. But then it also split the city of Berlin.
Yes.
Was the
and so basically there was a wall around.
I paid attention in history class.
Yeah, well done. There was a wall around West Berlin, which is weird. It was basically this island of freedom and democracy in the middle of the Soviet bloc, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so weird how things evolve, right?
Yeah.
And so when I first started going there, this is in the late 80s, early 90s, there were still bombed out buildings from World War II. Again, that's how much that system did not work, right?
Yeah.
And now East Berlin, because this unbelievable infusion of investment came in, right? It's like greenfields all day long. It came in, and so now the eastern areas of the city are more modern, like the architecture is more modern. There's more going on there, and West Berlin's a little bit more quaint. Again, oversimplified, but it's a little bit quaint or older by comparison, right? Which is so funny to think about, right?
Yeah,
it's wild.
That's wild how that reversed.
Yeah.